everyone, my name is Lily and I'm a librarian at the Russ Library. Normally I run the monthly Art in the Library program for elementary school kids. I wanted to share with you an art project that you could do at home that uses some pretty common household items, so hopefully you have everything to do it. It's called salt painting. So I'm going to talk about how to do that in just a minute. The reason I wanted to give you guys some art projects to do at home is that it's nice to take a little creative break sometimes, especially if you guys are doing a lot of homework and schoolwork. Sometimes it's nice to give your brain a little break from that and do something on the creative side. But there are benefits to doing art as well. When you're doing art, you're working not only the creative side of your brain, but also the side of your brain that deals with decision making and problem solving. So even though it's fun and relaxing, you are also working special parts of your brain. So what do you need to do salt painting? You need some kind of paper. I actually have just some black construction paper. You can use any color construction paper. You can even just use regular computer printer paper. I'm just using black because you will also need glue, and the white glue stands up a little bit better on the video, so it'll be easier for you guys to see. Then you will also need something to paint with. Today I'm going to be using food coloring. I've mixed it with a little bit of water. And then you also need something to apply the color with. So I have this cool little dropper that I'm using. If you don't have a dropper, you could use a paintbrush. And if you don't have a paintbrush, you could even use something like a Q-tip to pick it up. So hopefully, oh, and also salt. That's why it's salt painting. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna be putting down our glue. We're gonna cover it in salt, and then we are going to use our colors to paint. If you don't have food coloring, but maybe you have other kinds of paint, like watercolors in house, you can also just mix your watercolors and paint it on that way as well. Okay, oh, and one last thing you're gonna need is something to put your painting on, because we're gonna be covering it in salt. So in order to keep the salt from getting in everywhere, I'm gonna use a cookie sheet. You could use that as well, or if you maybe want to put a box lid or newspaper or something underneath of it just to catch the salt when we cover our painting. I'm going to change the angle so you can see what I'm doing with my hands, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so I've got my colors, which I'm going to set aside because we don't need those yet, and I've got my black paper in my cookie sheet. As you can see, I do have some salt already in the corner because I was doing some experiments with this earlier. So the first thing you want to do is get your glue. It doesn't have to be white glue. It could be clear or glow in the dark or whatever you have around your house. I just have regular old white school glue. And just decide what it is that you would like a picture of. This could be something realistic, like a cat or a butterfly or flowers, or fireworks actually look really cool with this. I'm just going to do some shapes and different abstract things because I think that will be fun. But whatever you feel like I said, there is no wrong way to do this. So whatever you feel like doing, you can do patterns, you can do lines. I'm going to do some dots and swirls. And the fun thing about this is that when you put the salt on it, the salt acts like kind of like a sponge and absorbs the colors. And so you'll see when we start doing this, it's a really cool way to learn about mixing colors. Actually, I'm gonna put a little, maybe we'll do a little heart. That'd be cool. Do some more lines. So you just do however much or as little as you would like. But once you feel like you've got everything the way that you want it, then we're gonna cover all of this with salt. I've got my salt shaker here, and just anywhere that you have glue, you are going to put salt on it, and that totally covered up. And this is why we have our cookie sheet underneath, so that we don't get the salt all over the place. All right, make sure all of our little pieces are covered. Get that out of the way. And you kind of, and even to make sure it's covered, you want to give it a little shake this way, that way, just to make sure all the sides have it. And then you just dump the excess off into your tray. All right, so then you have these kind of Let me see if I can put it up closer. So you have these, you can see the salt crystals are stuck to the glue. And so that's what makes this kind of neat, because then those are gonna absorb all your colors. So, like I said, I have yellow, blue, and red. And the reason I chose these is that these are primary colors. And the reason they're called primary is because you can use them to make other colors. So blue and red make purple, yellow and blue make green, yellow and red make orange. So that's what's kind of neat about this, is as you take your colors, you can then make other colors by blending it together. So you either want to get your brush or your Q-tip or whatever you're using, and you're gonna get your color and you're just gonna, let me see if I can do this where you can make sure you can see it. And you're just gonna drop your colors in. And with this, less is more. And also, depending on how you want it to look, if you don't think the colors are dark enough, you can always add more food coloring to it. But as you can see, I put one drop on and it kind of sucks it all up. And then the neat thing you can do is take another color. I'm going to take my yellow, and if you put the yellow over here, you can see it'll kind of blend together. Might be a little easier to see with blue. So I've got, see it's kind of orange here, red, yellow, and then if I put some blue on this one, the blue and yellow are going to mix, and you're going to get a kind of green color in between. And then if you do blue and red, you're going to get a purpley color. So however you want to do this, you could do it rainbow colors, you could do it just one or two colors, however you feel like doing it. The reason I like the little eyedropper is because it makes it easy to get it right on the salt. So maybe the paper doesn't get as wet. But that's up to you. Like I said, you can use a brush. That works really well. This is also kind of a good practicing patience, because you can put a little drop down and then see how far it will go. You can add a little bit more. And I will be back in just a minute to show you the final results, and you guys start working on yours and you tell me how it goes. And I would love to see your results as well. So I'm going to finish up with mine, and I'll see you in a minute when we look at the final result. Okay, so I finished filling in all my glued areas with colors. I would like to mention that if you are going to use a paintbrush, because your glue is still wet, it's a little bit easier to do if you put your color on the paintbrush and then just kind of gently dab it on, rather than kind of doing more paint strokes like you would normally do with a paintbrush. And that's just because you don't want to smush or smear your design. So if you're using something like a Q-tip or a paintbrush, you kind of want to do like your dropper, where you dip into the color and then just very gently kind of dab it onto your glue and salt. So this of course needs to dry. It's still really wet, so you don't want to move it just yet. But as you can see, we get all these kind of interesting color blending, which is part of the reason why I like this painting project so much. So I would love to see what you guys do at home.